Hello, my name is Suleen Garcia, and I virtually attended a board meeting for the Los Angeles Unified School District. I'm sorry if I keep looking to the side, I'm looking at my notes over there. But because I virtually attended, the address for the actual location of the meeting was 333 South Beaudry Avenue in Los Angeles, California. The Los Angeles Unified School District is one of the largest in the United States, and it serves approximately more than like 700,000 students, and it serves from K to 12. The board president is Richard Vladovic, and some of the other members include George McKenna, Monica Garcia, Scott Schmerelson, Nick Melvoin, Jackie Goldberg, and Kelly Gonyas. So how often they meet? They meet the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. So for this meeting, they met on November 5th, and that's for the regular board meetings. They occasionally have closed board meetings, which basically means that they don't really have the public coming into that because they're more confidential things that they're going to be discussing. Sorry. So at these board meetings, they basically make decisions regarding the schools, the public schools, and the education. These things can range from the personnel working at the schools to building maintenance, budgets, expenditure, curriculum, basically anything that's going to affect the education of the students attending that school. So their goal is to make sure that, these students are receiving everything that they need. So for the meeting, it was a very formal meeting. They were all very organized. All the people there were basically suit and tie, very professional. The way they all spoke, it was very, very respectful to one another. I actually had a positive impression from them because the president, Richard Vladovic, he actually seemed like he cared about his community. He said that for all the board meetings, he kind of likes to have somebody in the community from the LAUSD, which is Los Angeles Unified School District, have someone from the school district sing a song from somebody who actually came out of this district. So for this meeting, he actually had some students from one of their schools, their choir, to come sing At Last by Etta James, because Etta James actually came out of the LAUSD. So it was kind of nice that he puts like a more personal touch, tries to make people feel proud of, the students who are coming out of their district. So when I was watching it, some of the agenda items that I found interesting were this teacher, his name was Juan Ramirez. He is a bilingual elementary school teacher, and he was basically talking about that they need to address the learning conditions for special education students. And this reminded me of our chapter 3, where they talk about special education a little bit, because we do have a lot of diversity in our students, and it's important that we acknowledge all these diverse learners. Especially with special education, they do require more attention, more specialized instruction. So it's important that, they are getting the funding to get the appropriate programs, getting qualified teachers, paraeducators to ensure that these students are able to actually succeed. Another thing that I also heard talked about during the meeting was teacher retention. So I remember in chapter 1, they were saying that the authors of our book were saying that in the first 5 years, like 50% of teachers actually leave the profession. And the Los Angeles Unified School District is a very large district, and they serve many, many students. And so, they do have a shortage of qualified teachers. And, with so many teachers leaving, it is important to find a way to kind of retain them and recruit them. And so they were kind of talking about having more competitive wages to kind of entice people to stay in the profession, entice people to actually become teachers, and hopefully, it will solve the problem of the teacher shortage. I thought this was interesting, but it could also be a negative at the same time. I do feel like teachers do get underpaid for all the work that they do, but I also get concerned about the fact of maybe if teachers get paid like too much money, that maybe some people will become teachers for the wrong reasons, that they'll just become teachers for the money and they won't really be qualified teachers. and they won't really care about the student's education. So that's my only concern about that. But then, again, the whole process for becoming a teacher does make sure to like weed out those teachers who really, or those people who really don't have the heart for teaching. But yeah, they discussed having the competitive wage to kind of help retain teachers. Another topic that they talked about was a teacher was saying that their textbooks were kind of outdated for the high school sciences. And so they were asking if they could adopt new textbooks for biology, chemistry, and geology. They actually approved this item. And that related me to chapter 9. We were talking about like the Common Core standards and also like the NGSS science standards. A lot of the standards have been changing. And if the schools don't keep up and update their textbooks, students aren't going to be receiving the most up-to-date information. And so I think it was very important that they, did bring this up to the board meeting, had the board members talk about it, and, allow the adoption of new textbooks. So overall, I had a pretty good experience about this board meeting. It was really awesome seeing all the board members and the public, communicating about issues that were really important for the success of the students. Because even at the board meetings, even though they talk about like budgets, building maintenance, and all these things are things that we don't, typically think about, but it's important for students to have proper infrastructure, proper buildings to be able to continue having a successful environment for them to be successful students. But yeah, so that is everything. Thank you.